This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is precisely 6:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. The Defence Secretary says that the Kotalawala Defence University Act will not influence any other university. The Finance Minister instructs to prepare a streamlined plan to build confidence in the economy. The President appreciates the support given by Cuba to Sri Lanka at the UN. The United States donates 500,000 rapid diagnostic tests to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. In news overseas, people unite on social media to help China flood victims. In sports news, Olympics opening ceremony director sacked for Holocaust joke. Local stories in detail. Vice-Chancellor of the Kotalawala Defence University, Major General Milinda Peris, says that the Kotalawala Defence University Bill cannot influence any other university. He said that the aim is to make it an international-level university. Vice-Chancellor Major General Milinda Peris was speaking during a media briefing today on the Kotalawala Defence University Act. Taking part in the media briefing, Defence Secretary Major General Kamal Gunaratne said that students are enrolled at the university based only on the advanced level Z score. About 6,000 students are following studies at the university. It conducts medical, engineering, law and other degree programs. Steps have been taken to maintain discipline among the students. Academic activities commence and end on due times. Major General Kamal Gunaratne said that all activities are being done according to international policies. Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa says that a streamlined plan should be prepared to build confidence on the economy by the rating agencies and investors. He has instructed State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral to take measures to implement the program soon. Attention has been paid on present debt ratings and related matters during the discussion today at the Finance Ministry. Mr. Michael Edward Appleton and Mr. Andre Marcelo Garrido have presented their credentials as the new High Commissioner of New Zealand as the Ambassador of Cuba, respectively, to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning. New High Commissioner Michael Edward Appleton said he is happy to work as the first High Commissioner of the New Zealand High Commissioner. The President appreciated the support given by Cuba at the UN. The President briefed the new ambassadors on the progress of the vaccination program. He also explained Sri Lanka taking measures to use organic fertilizer. The President also expressed views about the measures taken to get more energy requirement from renewable energy sources by 2030. Minister Kelly Rambukwala says that 251 million rupees have been earned from February up to now by screening foreign films and teledramas over local media. Attention has been paid on further increasing taxes on foreign teledramas and films with the aim of protecting the local industry. During the Advisory Council meeting of Media Ministry in Parliament recently, the Minister said that although 22 million rupees were spent to telecast educational programs for 16 hours, only 4 million rupees were received. The Minister said that the national television is performing its duties for the benefit of the children amid the pandemic. The Minister said that his ministry has the challenge to normalize state media institutions which are facing a severe economic impact due to the pandemic. Secretary to the Presidential Task Force on Gama Samagapilli Sandra Program, W.H. Karunaratne, says that ministers and parliamentarians of the task force are conducting progress reviews on the areas where the programs were held. He said that it is being done on the instructions of Chairman of Gama Samaga Pilisandara Presidential Task Force, Minister Namal Rajapaksa. Mr. Karunaratne said that district secretaries are organising the progress review meetings. Police say that the main suspect and few other suspects are scheduled to be arrested in connection with the death of the girl with burn injuries who died at the house of MP Rishat Badiuddin. Police have questioned the father and mother of the girl at Nuwar Elia, Dayagama area, and the middleman who brought the girl for domestic service. According to the report of the judicial medical officer, the girl has been abused since the age of 6 years. A program has been implemented to increase production of organic fertilizer quantity to 50 metric tons from 15 metric tons daily at Kerawalapitia Sanitary Fill. Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation has initiated the program on the instructions of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. The corporation has made arrangements to further develop the sanitary fill project with an investment of 850 million rupees. Commercial Fertilizer Company has ordered 4,000 metric tons of biocompost fertilizer from the Kerawalapitia Sanitary Fill, which is taking measures to meet the order. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Call 0718 800 999.
Continuing with local stories, Minister C.B. Ratnayaka has implemented a program to monitor plans and implementation of plans to reopen national wildlife parks. The minister has instructed those who are in charge of the parks to take necessary measures to provide all facilities for local and foreign tourists. Water supply to several areas will be suspended from 10 a.m. on Monday to 10 a.m. on Tuesday due to laying of pipes across Handala Bridge and connecting it to a main pipeline. The Water Supply and Drainage Board said that water supply to a part of Wattala Nigambo Road, a part of Mabola, Valley Kadamulla, Handala Road, all by-roads up to Nayakakanda, Alvis Town, Maradana Road, Puakwatta Road, Galahaduwa and to a part of Kerawalapitia will be suspended during that time. Army Commander General Shavindra Silva has warned there is a possibility of an emerging wedding cluster if the public does not adhere to health guidelines when hosting weddings. He said the Health Ministry has allowed to conduct weddings with a maximum of 150 participants or a 25% seating capacity. However, it was reported especially in the areas out of the Western Province that weddings were hosted exceeding the capacity. The commander said that the situation would be dangerous if people misused the advice. He said public should act in a responsible manner, especially during the upcoming long weekend. To end the local news, the headlines again. The Defence Secretary says that the Katalavala Defence University Act will not influence any other university. The Finance Minister instructs to prepare a streamlined plan to build confidence in the economy. The President appreciates the support given by Cuba to Sri Lanka at the UN. The United States donates 500,000 rapid diagnostic tests to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. That ends local news.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space, name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
On the main news story, the United States has donated 500,000 rapid diagnostic tests as a part of its commitment to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. These tests, worth 300 million Sri Lankan rupees, were delivered to the Sri Lanka Ministry of Health through the United States government's development arm, the U.S. Agency for International Development. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. A criminal investigation department-led investigation has been launched against misinformation on the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine. Police media spokesperson Senior DIG Ajit Rohana said investigations commenced on a complaint filed by the Judicial Medical Officer at the Kandy Hospital. That ends Watchlight. We move on to world news, the headlines. People unite on social media to help China flood victims. Argentina introduces new ID cards for non-binary people. YouTube removes Bolsonaro's videos for COVID misinformation. Chinese are using social media to help speed up rescue efforts after deadly floods engulfed Henan province. At least 33 people have died in the province after Zhengzhou city saw a year's worth of rainfall in 3 days. From sharing public health information to contacts for support, China's Weibo platform became an online space connecting people seeking help with rescue teams. Argentina has unveiled a new national identity system for people who identify as non-binary. Under national law, Argentinians have the right to identify themselves as gender neutral. But this has not been reflected in passports and national documents of identity, and residents have only been able to select male or female. To change this, anyone applying for a new ID document can now select X for their gender. YouTube says it has removed videos posted by Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro because they spread misinformation about coronavirus. The tech giant said its decision was not based on ideology or politics, but on its content policies. Since the start of the pandemic, the president has spoken out against lockdowns, masks, and vaccinations. His office has not commented on YouTube's decision. To end the world news, the headlines again. People unite on social media to help China flood victims. Argentina introduces new ID cards for non-binary people. YouTube removes Bolsonaro videos for COVID misinformation. That ends world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Moving on to development news. Leading textile manufacturer Haley's Fabric has further reduced its carbon footprint by 15% with the installation of the largest private sector rooftop solar power system in Sri Lanka. The rooftop solar project was set up at Haley's Fabric's primary manufacturing facility in Horana as a part of a broader campaign to reduce carbon emissions and align with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. That ends development news.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Moving on to sports news. The show director of the Olympics opening ceremony has been dismissed 1 day before the event is due to be held. Footage of Kentaro Kobayashi from the 1990s recently emerged in which he appears to be making jokes about the Holocaust. Japan's Olympic chief Seiko Hashimoto said the video ridiculed painful facts of history. Australia's world number one, Kaylee McKeown, has withdrawn from the 200-metre individual medley at the Tokyo Olympics to focus on the backstroke events. The 20-year-old's shock decision comes 2 days before the swimming events start at the Games. Olympic champion Andy Murray will begin his Tokyo campaign against 9th-seeded Canadian Felix Auger-Aliassime. The Briton won back-to-back gold medals at London 2012 and Rio 2016, but has twice required hip surgery since and is currently ranked 104th in the world. Spain was held to a goalless draw by Egypt in the opening game of the Olympic men's football competition, despite the inclusion of Euro 2020 young player of the tournament, Pedri. The frustrating result for Spain was compounded by an ankle injury to Real Madrid's Dani Ceballos as they struggled to break Egypt down. Australia and New Zealand have pulled out of the Rugby League World Cup because of player welfare and safety concerns related to COVID-19. The men's, women's and wheelchair events are scheduled to take place in England this autumn. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Knit fabric maker TJ Lanka PLC is currently exploring opportunities to expand its operations to Bangladesh and Africa, while investing further in its existing plants in Sri Lanka and India to add capacity. The company aspires to achieve consolidated revenue of $300 million in the financial year ending 2023. That ends Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Savings account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
And on economic news, several international airlines are in talks with Sri Lanka to launch new flights to both Katunaika International Airport and Mattala International Airport this year. Tourism Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that 32 airlines are currently flying to Sri Lanka. Oman-owned Salam Airlines is in talks to launch direct flights to Mattala International Airport. He said that Air France and a Middle Eastern Airlines have agreed to launch flights to Sri Lanka soon. They have agreed to launch flights covering both Katunaika and Mattala International Airports. That ends the economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And finally on the Weather Report, the Met Department says showery condition over the southwestern part of the country, particularly in the western slopes of the Central Hills, is expected to be enhanced to some extent tomorrow. Showers and thundershowers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Heavy showers over 100 millimeters can be expected at Sabaragamuwa province and in Nuwara Eliya district. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, can be expected in western province and in Kandy, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers and thundershowers may occur at a few places in Monaragala and Ampara districts during the evening or at night. Fairly strong gusty winds up to 50 kilometers per hour are likely across the island, and strong gusty winds up to 70 kilometers per hour can be expected in the western slope of Central Hills, North Central and Northwestern provinces, and in Hambantota, Mana, Vaunia, Kilinochchi and Trincomalee districts. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And to end this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The Defence Secretary says that the Kotalawala Defence University Act will not influence any other university. The Finance Minister instructs to prepare a streamlined plan to build confidence in the economy. The President appreciates the support given by Cuba to Sri Lanka at the UN. The United States donates 500,000 rapid diagnostic tests to support Sri Lanka's fight against COVID-19. In news overseas, people unite on social media to help China flood victims. In sports news, Olympics opening ceremony director sacked for Holocaust joke. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.